say you're not going to injure Mr. Post or Reed Cattle or Smith Cattle. I believe that's what you're saying. You can't say that yet. You can just make some assumptions.
We're asserting that. We have a PE saying plan works.
Okay, well, then maybe the association needs to have its PE look at it and give them its opinion. I understand what you mean. I just don't, from my perspective representing the association, I don't think they can do it absolutely yet.
We aren't asking for absolute. We're asking for a 1 year for us to work through it, like you suggested. I mean, that's
and will that involve having to reach agreements with those opposers? Probably. I would assume those opposers.
Yeah, but in what time frame? That's
within the substitute water supply plan time frame. I would assume those opposers would want.
Yeah, I got that.
Now that doesn't mean that the association is saying yes. If you get your substitute water supply plan, we will agree to everything in the augmentation plan, because there may be changes. But it does get us closer to it being some kind of approval, yeah.
Matt, if we accept this 1 year substitute supply plan deal, are we doing that under the conditions with, we accept your engineering?
Well, I don't see how else we could do it. I mean, that's the engineering we want. We're proposing to present to the state, and we've already verbally talked through with the state, talked to the state about 2 acre-feet per acre. Is that okay? And Whitty said sure.
I don't see that requirement. I think what we do is we describe exactly what the association is agreeing to, which is we proceed on this for a year until we arrive at an agreement on what protects the members during the next year.
And if something were to come up,
if something different comes up, then when we try and renew the plan, we won't have it.
It's possible.
Well, the other thing that the members need to know too, that criteria has not been approved by the board.
That's correct.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It gives everybody flexibility, because you haven't approved it either.
Well, it hasn't been approved as one document set out. The requirements aren't new. They would just come from other things that the association and the board of boards.
I think some of those
it's
are
just a compilation.
I guess
we'll work it out. We're not admitting anything they aren't admitting.
Right. And nothing's new there. There may have been some paraphrasing, but we didn't come up with anything new.
I think the idea that you can change the target moving forward, that wasn't in here, and it wasn't in the articles or the bylaws.
I'm sorry, say that again.
That you could change the criteria later on if you so desire.
Oh.
That was not in any of these documents at all. That's a brand new requirement.
That would be a requirement based upon having to meet existing obligations. If they have to do something different to meet existing obligations, they have to do it. And the association can't get into a situation where it's not meeting its obligations, and
you have to come to closure at some time, but not in the next 12 months. That's what I hear you saying, and that is reasonable for all of these folks to see how it works. And we're confident that it's going to work fine. They're not. Let's give it a try.
Mm-hmm. And it may be something you don't have to have a shareholder vote on. I mean, if the shareholders, if the board feels that they can go forward with that, the board has authority to govern the association. It really, there's a lot of different ways it can be do it, but I think you're right. We're not to the black and white line yet. I kind of like the idea of trying to substitute water supply plan, because if it does work and it goes through smooth, then other members can do it, and then you may have a whole lot more co-applicants by the time.
Exactly.
Other ideas may come out of it, like it's possible, and I haven't thought all the way through this, but it's possible you could have a situation where these members who want to do this, their augmentation water is taken out of this existing augmentation plan and put in a new one that theoretically would mimic the existing one. Or for the association to buy more Box Springs water and try and do an additional augmentation plan to cover these type of uses. There's some ideas I don't think anybody wants to include at this point.
Yeah, again, I appreciate the constructive conversation. I don't know what the members think. I do know that we're kind of pressed, so we can't just drag it out. And I'm willing to have us go forward with you not forfeiting any of your rights, and will not forfeit any of our rights. But for a year, we'll try and work together and get it done.
It's up to you. If no one's forfeiting any rights and we're just trying to go forward and see how it works. Right? No, I mean, you can, the board can do that of its own accord. If you want to instruct the board to do that by amendment vote, you can do that as well. Now, this issue hasn't really been brought to the board, so I couldn't say how the board would rule on it if you just wanted to rely upon the board to represent the best interest of the association. But, you know, ask you guys. You're not.
Why are you asking us to?
Ask you guys. I mean, they're your members, so maybe what you want to do is ask the board right now, would you guys?
Or we
do
could,
that, and do we need a shareholder vote?
or we could vote on the motion before us with the knowledge that the board would implement it the way we've just discussed it. That way we're done and people can go home. I mean, I'm fine with that. I mean, everybody, the good thing about this is everybody's heard what's everybody's got in mind. So,
Yeah, but I think you need to understand that if you're not going to withdraw the augmentation plan amendment application, the association.
no, we would withdraw it based on
based on
support of a substitute supply
Sure.
plan for 1 year to work it out.
We'd need to get that filed before the,
Quick.
Before the end of December when people
Right.
start, yeah. I agree.
So-
And you know, I'll talk about this later, but how do you tell everyone when you're doing that after you file?
how do I tell who?
All the opposers that you're dismissing the case before they
There-
really even.
There aren't.
any yet.
I know.
Well, that's why we want to work quick.
I know,
Yeah.
But you wouldn't want to just dismiss your case and the opposers don't know that. And they
There's
go
no
ahead and file.
opposers.
I've already spent about $8 grand on it already, so.
Well,
Well,
no,
we can, that's really not.
no one's filed a statement of opposition, so we don't have to tell, we just notify the court that we're withdrawing the application.
And would Mardell then reject any statements of opposition that get filed because they didn't know it's been withdrawn?
There's nothing
Yeah,
to
that's
object to.
what you do. It's procedural stuff.
But that's why I don't want to let it hang. If we're going to implement it, we have to get the people here to agree that they don't forfeit any of their rights. We don't forfeit any of our rights. We'll withdraw the application if we can and file a substitute supply plan with these numbers in it, and then over the next year we'll work on the numbers. I'm fine with that.
So that's your motion at this point?
Yeah, let's make that the motion.
Is there a second?
I second it.
Yeah.
Second.
Could you put it in writing so that it's pretty specific and everyone knows what they're voting on? Could we take like a 5-minute break to do that? Because I have to do this later.
That would be fine. We will take
Okay.
10